Hello YouTube! In today's video we have the PowerBook G4 with the Aurora wallpaper and a wireless Mighty Mouse. Now we have the PowerBook G4 out because recently there has been a new development with the Minecraft PowerPC port for PowerPC machines. It makes it run extremely well, at least compared to the version released before it. Now the version before did run, and it also does help if you have a newer PowerPC processor. But this version is interesting because it is a copy of 1.5.2 released by user Z970MP, and they managed to achieve 70 plus FPS on their Quicksilver with a Radeon 9000 Pro. Now this is a PowerBook G4. It's nowhere near as powerful as an actual desktop PowerPC machine. However, considering the high frame rate they achieved using their Quicksilver, I'm hopeful that we might get a very playable FPS on the PowerBook. And by recently, I mean basically like an hour ago, at least at the time of recording this video. Hopefully, we'll be able to get it to run. So I now have 10.4 open. I've opened up the Vintage Apple post with it, and I've now opened up the link to the actual download for this new version. So, using the power of the Airport Extreme in here, we'll download the copy of Minecraft and hopefully we'll get it up and running. So here are the system requirements, and it asks for an 867 MHz PowerPC G4 processor or better, and the fans of course kicked in on the PowerBook, but it also asks for 1.5 gigabytes of RAM, an ATI Radeon 7500 or better, and macOS Tiger or better. And if we take a quick look at about this Mac, we do have a 1.33 GHz PowerPC G4, but we are limited by 768 megabytes of RAM. So it will be interesting to see if it'll actually run with the RAM limitation, and unfortunately I don't have any more RAM to actually install into this machine, but hopefully it will run. Hopefully it will actually do something. And if we take a quick look at more info, and we have an ATI Mobility Radeon 9700 with 64 megabytes of VRAM. And of course the Mighty Mouse has low battery as well. But now we'll download this and we'll see if it'll hopefully run. And here it is. Now this is the PowerPC version. It is 1.5.2, and assuming I've installed the correct one, it's the newly updated one. If we check out the README, it says that it is version 1.5.2. Basically says why it's the last version, basically due to Java 5 and Java 6 not supporting PowerPC. There's also some information about the installation, gameplay, new features, as well as some hotkeys that you can use while you're playing. Now, even though this is a 1.33 gigahertz PowerPC processor, we may have a lot of stutters, but again, the whole point is to see if it'll work. And if it doesn't, we can always try Classic Cube for PowerPC as well. And now we'll begin the actual installer. So there's a terminal here, and we have to type out yes to install it. Seems like it is installing. And I will also close 10.4 to conserve RAM. And I might as well close the README as well. And it says that it's complete. So it is installed, and the launcher itself is within the resources folder within the main PowerPC folder. So if we go into resources and we click on the launcher, we can type in our username and click on play. And the whole point of the Mighty Mouse is to have the Pro Gamer setup circa 2005 for PowerPC machines anyways. So the launcher is showing the logo, and now it's popped up. It is version 1.5.2, and before we actually play, let's check out the options. Of course, we'll turn off the music so that way it does not interfere really with the audio. Difficulty, we'll leave it at peaceful for now. Video settings. Graphics are at fast. Smooth lighting is off. GUI scale, auto. Render distance tiny, performance max FPS. We also have smooth FPS on, smooth world on, preloaded chunks off, lazy chunk loading is on, quality, and basically as expected this is all off to save on performance. And before we actually even enter a world, the fans have kicked in already. Full screen mode is at 640 by 480. I will probably just leave it in the windowed mode for now, but I will minimize that. And I guess that's all the important things to see in the options. We might as well just create a new world. I guess we'll call it PowerPC test world. Set it to, I guess survival would be fine. More world options, we'll leave the seed as blank. Generate structures on, world type default, bonus just off, cheats are off. And let's create the new world. And we're in the world. So if we press function F3, we'll be able to see the frame rate. And just sitting here, we're averaging around 20 FPS. And considering this is below the system requirements, at least for the RAM, this is actually pretty decent. Well, now it seemed to have dropped around 12, 11, 10 FPS, but that's probably also due to it just still loading. This is a fresh world, of course, and it will take a while, but movement is actually pretty fluid. There's no real lag spikes. I remember playing the older version on the same PowerBook, and it was far worse in comparison. So this is actually pretty playable. And of course we get typical little lag spikes like that, but considering this is below system requirements for the RAM, it's still really nice. I bet the processor itself is probably doing a bit more work in order to keep this running well, but it's working, so that's pretty cool to see. And yeah, we're averaging around 12 FPS now, but considering this is not a super flat world, this is still really fluid movement. Even going around like this, the frame rate is not dropping at all. And of course the scroll wheel or the scroll ball is very sensitive, so you have to be careful on how you use it. But even just crafting things, this is very playable. I'm very surprised at how well this runs on a PowerBook. In the future, I will try to run this again if I ever do get some more RAM to upgrade this machine, but this is definitely playable. So with the grass breaking animation, it is dropping a little bit, but that's to be expected because there's a lot of particles on screen. But once you clear those up, it's back up to at least 12 FPS. I mean, now we're almost at 20. We're running at 18 FPS. If you had a PowerBook G5 Quad, I'm sure this would run like it's nothing, especially with a upgraded graphics card and upgraded RAM. Even breaking blocks now, it's not as laggy as it was initially. That's probably due to it, I guess, loading more of the world in. But it's playing, and memory usage is, of course, at 100%, at least for allocated memory. Used memory is only at 18, but the actual Radeon graphics card is probably also helping a lot with the VRAM on it. Again, this machine does not have 1 GB of RAM, or even 1.5. It's 768. So considering it runs as well as it does, even without any upgrades, it's pretty surprising. Now, I'm sure it would run better if you had an upgraded machine. Of course, probably not running on a PowerBook would help immensely, but this is, of course, a new release. And I'm sure in the future there might be new developments to make it even more playable. Of course, the render distance is tiny, so that probably does help with the loading. Not the best experience for actually playing the game, but we're in a forest biome. There's a lot of leaves, and the are the version which are optimized for lower textures, but still with a lot of these different blocks and just even the grass here, I'm sure that would otherwise not run as well on the older versions. And speaking of the textures, there are different textures in here. If we take a quick look at the modern one, while we're in a world, we'll see how well that'll work. If we're able to switch it on the fly, that would be really impressive. It is selected, and of course the fans have not stopped at all. They have kicked in because I'm sure this is definitely heating up the PowerPC processor a lot. G4 fan control, we'll be able to see how fast the fans are actually running. And we might get an even better frame rate if we bump the fans up. The sensors are reading around 60 degrees, but if we change the sensors to 50, I'm sure it'll become a jet engine, but it'll definitely help with cooling the machine. And this probably sounds horrible audio-wise. We still have the old textures, so we might have to reload the world in order to get the new ones. Or are these the new ones? Actually, they are the new ones. So it was able to load the new textures without even having to close the world or anything. So that is pretty awesome. So it's like you're running a brand new version of Minecraft on PowerPC Power. I'm sure it would definitely drop if the render distance or something was increased, especially with the limitation in RAM. And yeah, going fast like that, it went down to 7 because it did not have enough time to load. And of course, the superior gaming mouse has low batteries. It's still working, and yeah, we're back up to 10 FPS. Overall, this is a pretty cool experience considering this was basically just released as of the time I'm trying this out. This is an awesome piece of software to really bring Minecraft back to a playable version on PowerPC. And for those interested, this is what full screen looks like, or basically almost full screen. And as you can see, the frame rate is still pretty nice. It's basically the same experience as it was in the windowed mode. Of course, it's probably going to run a little bit slower because it has a larger screen to actually fill, but overall it's still pretty playable. And that's probably where we're gonna wrap up this video. I've rambled on long enough, but if you guys enjoyed it, then be sure to stick around. If you guys want me to play more of PowerPC Minecraft with the jet engine sounds, of course, then leave a comment or a like or something. And if you guys want to, then you should also consider subscribing, as it'll help out the channel, it'll help me create more videos, and hopefully I can bring more awesome stuff like this to you guys. If you're interested, stick around for more, and as always, thanks for watching.